Callaway Paradigm Smoke AI and Smoke AI High Launch Iron. Irons for the fire or irons for your bag? So this year there's the introduction of the AI Smoke Iron and the AI Smoke HL for high launch. So this is something, the high launch model is something that most of the brands are starting to do now. Mizuno have done it with the 923 JPX series, and Titleist with theirs, with their 200 350 series, are looking at gaining launch angle because most golfers struggle for a little bit of flight. So that's something that's an addition to Callaway's range that they've done previously with the Razor XHL. They've done HL model in the past, but this is something that's been reintroduced into the lineup this year, and we'll come on to that one very shortly. So from a structural point of view, what's been done? Well, the AI is the key thing here throughout all the series, whether it's drivers, fairways, hybrids, and now irons. That optimization of ball speed, looking at contact points through human data testing, looking at swing lines and what optimizes performance based on delivery pattern by a human rather than just a robot. That's something that Callaway have majored on and made a lot of investment in this year. So again, looking at ball speed maximization across the face, forgiveness maximization to get the best overall result no matter where you strike it. Outside of that, relative to the Paradigm series, we've still got that enclosed sort of blade-like look. It's actually quite a clean-looking head for the type of golfer it's designed for. Plenty of tungsten down the sole. The other element they've done, freshly with both heads here, is a bit of sole shaping for turf interaction. So as with their wedges, there's a slightly beveled leading edge and a little bit of back edge relief. And what we'll see on the HL model is that with this one, there's a little bit more of a graduated front edge and then a little bit more of a graduated back edge, so that there's less drag as the club head goes through the turf. That's something that a few of the brands have focused on. Srixon predominantly over the years have focused on turf interaction. We're now seeing that from all the brands talking about that quite strongly here. So main differences between the two heads, obviously the HL is a higher loft. So the 7-iron loft in the Paradigm AI Smoke model is 27 degrees. Now that is a very strong loft. That's pretty close to where my 6-iron is. And in the HL it goes up to 30 degrees. So you're gaining 3 degrees of loft between the heads, so that automatically gives you more flight. What else have they changed? Well, it's also a slightly shallower toe. So the depth of the toe in the high launch versus the standard model is a little bit shallower, lets them put a little bit more weight down the bottom, so we can see that muscle bar down the bottom of the head there. That center of gravity low sends launch angle up as well. So a little bit of tungsten out on the toe side of the HL too, so a little bit more, than the standard Smoke model. So again, that helps get that toe rotating through, that helps get a little bit of extra launch, a little bit of extra spin onto it. So we'll do a bit of data testing between the two heads and give you the comparison. So it's fairly standard. It's a fairly clicky head. There's a decent bit of pop off the face with this. You certainly know that the ball's coming off fast. Could be a slightly harsh feel for some players, but ultimately with the structures in place, the tungsten in it, the metals that are used in the face to get the speed, you're going to get a bit of a louder note off the face of this head. But it's quite a clean shape. Actually comes through the ball quite nicely. Certainly feels well balanced off centre, but that's going to give quite a strong performance. We'll switch over to the high launch, get the comparison there. So it certainly looks, even though it's not longer heel to toe, because the toe's shallower, it looks a little bit of a longer blade length on this. So interesting enough, that one, because they're using the face differently and some of the materials differently, it's a softer sounding and feeling head than the Smoke series. I think that's actually to someone who's used to blades, that's a nicer feeling head. It's a little less clicky, a little less harsh. So let's have a little look at the data and see how they compare. So, unsurprisingly from a flight point of view, just over 2 degrees of difference in launch angle. So the AI Smoke model at 15.6 launch, 4.7 spin, I mean, that is pretty close to my 6-iron numbers, but the loft's pretty close to my 6-iron as it is. But ball speed, 144 efficiency, that's really quite strong off the face. So distance-wise, really quite for a 7-iron, and granted it's 7-iron number on the bottom, but kind of more of a 6-iron spec. That's quite a powerful club for a club with that number on the bottom. And certainly a consistency of spin, 130 revolutions difference, tolerance-wise on spin, that's very, very consistent. And then moving to the high launch, it's a little less ball speed, but it's got more loft. And it's not really necessarily designed for raw distance. So again, for a 7-iron, a 139 efficiency smash-wise is very strong. But launch angle up at 17.7, so 2.1 degrees more launch. But we've also got 10% more spin, got another 470 revolutions on spin, so almost an exact 10% uplift. So that means from a land angle point of view on those shots, I'm just going to slide the screen across so all the data on this bit's visible. We're going from a 44 degree land angle with the Smoke AI to 47 with the high launch, 88 feet to 97 feet. So quite a noticeable uplift in height and the stopping power of these heads. So a very, very definite split between the AI Smoke, which is a powerful distance-based product, to the high launch, which is not weak in loft, but certainly much, much better in terms of you're looking for a bit of height and a bit of spin. Forgiveness-wise, I think they're both pretty similar. Ball speed consistency is very good on both, mile an hour variable, but that little bit more lift, a little bit more height performance. And all that in a head that actually looks, it doesn't have heavy offset. It is a little bit shallower in the toe, which some players may or may notice, some might not. But overall, a little bit of width to the sole, nicely cambered. I think that could be a very strong performer this year.